Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Gamer Couple. We're Sam and Aidy, and for today's video, we're going to be showing you 5 advanced tips to win more and die less in your Fortnite games. If you guys didn't know, we do a giveaway every week on the channel, where 2 subscribers will win 1,000 V-Bucks by gift card of their choice. To enter, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment down below saying what your favorite tip from the video was. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it.
Now, we made a video like this in the past, but Fortnite has changed so much since Season 2. This will be an advanced guide teaching you everything from key landing strategies, to rotations, decision making, to positioning, and overall just how to feel way more confident inside your games. This guide will cover every stage of the game to help you truly improve as a player.
Coming in at number 5, we have 4 key components when landing and how to master your early game. First up, the best way to improve while still trying to get the win is to land at locations that have equal opportunity. Equal opportunity landings will ensure that you get a weapon and some materials right off the start every single game. Locations like Pleasant Park, Retail Row, and Greasy Grove all offer tons of landing spots for players to spread out. This will ensure a more skill-based landing instead of a luck-based landing like most hot drops. Next up, it's important to know all the secret item spawns inside your house. A lot of people don't know this, but in most houses there are roof areas without chest spawns that still offer weapon and item drops. Knowing a few extra item spawns can greatly increase your loot in the early game. Next up, we have knowing how to engage early on. If you land at your house, loot the whole thing and only get an AR, wait for someone else to fight out in the open and try to clean it up from range. If you only get a shotgun out of your house, try to close the distance or keep looting for a more well-rounded loadout. If you don't have any shields, play for positioning. Keeping high ground on rooftops is one of the strongest positions early game. Knowing how to make all these choices based off your loadout can make all the difference early game. It's also very important to note how many players landed at your drop. Knowing this number allows you to know how many players are around you and can help you decide when to engage in a fight. Once you get practice keeping tabs on everyone, you'll find yourself getting pinched a lot less in early game fights. Last but not least, we have the most obvious, and that's farming. Once you clear your landing spot and have looted up comfortably, take the time and just farm early game. Farming everything that's one hit inside of houses can get you up to max wood in just a couple minutes. We all know that farming's boring, but getting your mats up early will almost guarantee you winning your next fight. So many players clear the first town and just rush out to find more kills. But if you just take an extra minute or 2 to farm up some mats, the percentage of you winning your next engagement will go up dramatically.
Coming in at number 4, we have 3 tips for rotating to ensure clean 1v1s. Once you master the early game, it's now time to rotate out of your landing spot. It's important to know where the closest rift spawns are because they allow you to rotate quickly and take any position that you want. When rifting, you can find multiple fights to take, but you definitely need to know which ones to choose. Finding an inexperienced player rotating out of a safe drop is usually the easiest fight to get an extra kill and some upgraded loot. Another option when rifting is to find 2 players already fighting. This will ensure an easy cleanup and tons of loot to choose from. Utilizing the floating island and the shadow stones can also help you rotate super fast. If you use these correctly, they can be just as effective as rifts when trying to rotate early game. If you choose not to rift, it's important to be aware of your surrounding areas. Any location near your landing spot will probably have a player rotating with you. If you think about the location that makes the most sense for the enemy to rotate to, you'll probably be able to meet them there. An example of this would be you landing and clearing out Lazy Links and having someone else land and clearing out Motel right next to you. Now you both have to rotate to Loot Lake to make it into the first circle. Both of you are forced to move to this destination, so if you know someone else is rotating there, you can easily get the surprise jump on them or take the strongest position first. Knowing where someone's going to be rotating will give you an advantage in every single fight. The last tip we have for rotating is playing the outskirts of the circle. Now this one is very simple but very effective for many reasons. Whenever you rotate around the edges of each circle, you minimize your chances of being third-partied. This will grant you very fair 1v1s without the risk of being pinched. Even if someone hears your fight, they often won't come to the edge of the zone to third-party you. The only downside with this is if the fight takes too long, you can easily get stuck in the storm or risk having someone waiting on the edge of the circle for you. So if you decide to rotate on the edges, just make sure you're aware of enemy players and the clock.
Coming in at number 3, we have decision making. Now, decision making is one of the most important skills in all of Fortnite. A decent mechanically skilled player can be a very mechanically skilled player simply by having good decision making. Knowing when to engage and disengage is extremely important when trying to die less and win more. The root to a lot of bad decision making comes from lack of patience. Now, this is something that we struggle with as well because being patient in a fast-paced game is extremely difficult. An example of this is simply farming. We know that if we spend 2 minutes farming max wood early game, that we'll have a huge advantage in every fight, yet we push out of the first town to find more kills with minimal materials. This results in more deaths, lost fights, and less wins based solely on bad decision making. Every single person is different and we don't all make the same decisions, but looking back at the decision that cost you a fight is really important to learn from. Things like jumping off the high ground to go for a shot, pushing someone in a 1-by-1 when you don't have to, building too high in a build fight without a mobility item to get down. All these little things you can learn from and fix with just simple decision making. Even identifying a player's loadout mid-fight can help you with the decisions that you make during that fight. If someone has a double barrel below you, don't get too close to them and play for distance. So next time you're about to engage in a fight, don't just go in with your first instinct. Think of a couple ways to play the situation, and having a plan to disengage can be just as important as a plan to engage.
Coming in at number 2, we have positioning and game awareness. Now these two things can make or break a Fortnite player, and usually everyone can learn them. First, let's start with positioning. If you have good positioning, you can win a lot of fights before they ever really begin. Starting with early game, you want to position yourself on roofs or the high ground. This gives you an overlook to locate players and to output damage from a safe distance. There's a reason people love to land at the castle building in Tilted and the hotel in Paradise. They both offer great vantage points to shoot down at players as they fight each other. This is the easiest way to get a few early kills while keeping yourself away from the fire. Mid to late game is a little more self-explanatory when it comes to positioning. In mid game, playing the outskirts of the circle will allow for the cleanest 1v1s without the worry of being pinched. Though in late game, you'll want to find the high ground and rotate to it as early as possible. Having the high ground in top 10 will put you at a major advantage when shooting down at players pushing up to you. Saving mobility items like rifts to go, shockwaves, and launch pads will also allow you to move swiftly around the final circles to continue maintaining the best positions. Now onto game awareness or game sense. So many players struggle with game sense, but a lot of it comes from laziness. Many players get shot in the back because they're never checking behind them. In Fortnite, you can jump and do a 180 to check around you without ever slowing down, yet so many players don't do this. When you get into top 10, you need to locate as many players as possible and keep tabs on them to ensure you don't get snuck up on or third-partied. A lot of game sense just comes from not being lazy and staying on your toes. With that being said, always wear a headset when you play and turn up the volume. Fortnite allows you to hear from a super far distance, and you can't tell just how many players are playing with little to no sound. If you focus when playing to improve instead of playing casually, you'll see results super fast.
Finally, coming in at number 1, we have not panicking and learning from your mistakes. Now this is definitely easier said than done, but once you get over panicking and can turn your mistakes into a learning experience, you'll see yourself truly grow as a Fortnite player. Now panicking happens to almost everyone, especially people who have never played a battle royale before. The best way to help overcome this anxiety is by playing a ton and not caring too much. Now we know this kind of goes against the die less and win more subject, but when you truly stop caring about only wins, you'll see huge growth and panic way less. Panicking comes from being put into situations that you've never faced before, getting close to a win, missing shots, or when you feel like someone is better than you. To combat this anxiety, play as much as you can and find out what you did wrong inside of a fight. Playground can also help with this tremendously. If you grab a friend who's slightly better than you and then run some build fights, you'll see your confidence improve a lot and you'll feel much better in game. Next up, we have learning from your mistakes. Now we've all heard this non-stop from every game that we've ever played, but people honestly overlook this subject. We all have the option of looking back in a replay file and finding out exactly what went wrong during our fight. Mistakes come in all forms, from the way that you land, to the way that you rotate, to the decisions you make, to the way you position yourself, and countless other things. If you watch any top tier player who dies, 90% of the time they will say, I should have done this or I should have done that. It may seem like tilt or frustration, but they're just making a mental note of that mistake that they made, and they'll try to avoid it in the future. You can honestly play this game all day, every day, and see little to no improvement simply because you aren't learning from your mistakes or working on the weak points of your game. If you apply everything that we've gone over in this video, you'll find yourself getting a lot more wins and dying a lot less. This may seem like a lot of information to take in, but the more you play, the more natural it's going to feel. Don't be afraid to die and go back on every mistake and learn from it. Stay positive and you'll find yourself improving every single day. Anyway guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video. If you guys have any ideas for other videos you'd like to see, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. If you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss a Fortnite video or live stream. We are now live streaming regularly, so if you want to stay up to date with us, our Twitter, Discord, Instagram, and Twitch are in the description. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.